Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. What are we going to call this? I need to find an exact name for when I do these chit chat um, videos from my bed, from my room. I usually do them early in the morning. Right now it's 8:28 in the morning. I've been up kind of since 6 o'clock because the alarm goes off and I wake my husband up to get ready for work and I see him off. And usually I go back to bed, but this morning I just cannot sleep. I have a lot of thoughts in my mind. Yesterday was really a rough day. I cried a ton, just a lot of emotions, a lot of things that aren't panning out, of plans that I had and things coming up that, I didn't expect, just really tore me down yesterday. So I think I got the migraine from crying. And then I finally just took a hot shower, took an ibuprofen, and went to bed. And it went away through the wee hours. And then this morning when I woke up, it was there booming again. And I think because I'm still going through what I'm going through emotionally. So, yeah, so I just was watching some videos is what I usually do. And I'm going to do my morning routine soon, what I do in the morning, what I do at night soon. So look forward to that. But I just finally jumped up and made me some hot cappuccino and a turkey sandwich. And I already ate because I was going to do the video doing that. But as you know, I've said before, it's so hard to eat. Things get cold and it's just not the same. And I just wanted to try to feel better. So, but today's video is about suicide. And it's a really, really tough topic. But I felt compelled to do this video because as we've seen lately in the news, so many people are committing suicide, as we saw with Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, and not too long ago, Robin Williams. People who had it all, who we thought were so strong and so happy, and we never would say they might be capable of suicide. We would think the complete opposite, that they would never do that because they're so strong and so happy and they have it all. And that just goes to show us that no matter where we are in life or what we have, that we don't really know what people are going through. We don't know what burdens they have, what sufferings they're going through, what dark moods, what inner demons they have. We just don't know. And some people are just good on putting a facade, kind of like a happy face. And, you know, they say a lot of comedians are like that. A lot of people that do clown acts, that they're there to make people laugh and make people happy, but they're really sad inside. And that doesn't mean every clown that does a clown act is like that, or every comedian is like that. But they say most are like that. As we saw in the case of Robin Williams, he made us laugh for years and years and years with his movies, with his comedy shows. He just seemed so strong and so talented, and we just didn't see the signs. We didn't see the signs. And maybe because we don't know him personally, we didn't see the signs of any depression or anxiety, or that he was sad or unhappy or struggling. We didn't see it because he did his job so well, and that was to make us laugh and make us happy, even if he was dying inside. And so that was the first wake up call for me as far as um, other people out there, because I'm going to tell you my story about suicide. It hits close to home because I've considered and attempted suicide twice in my life. And I'm going to tell you my story right now, and then I'm going to give you some statistics because I've been doing a lot of research on this. Because ever since Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, and even a lot of vets come back from war and from serving with um, what is it, PTSD or PSTD, from post traumatic stress syndrome. Okay, PTSD. Okay, I just want to get it right. It's really tough, and now we're living in a world in scary and sad times. So people are stressed out, people are on edge, people feel hopeless, and so I'm hoping that by sharing my story, um, maybe it could give people some hope back. Um, that there is always hope, that there's always the horizon somewhere out there, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. all this stuff that, are sayings, but are really, really true. And so let me go ahead and share my story so this video isn't overwhelmingly long, which tends to get. Um, the first time I suffered and struggled through my life, I had a blessed and happy childhood, but there was something that happened to me that affected me deeply, that was traumatic. And then in my teens and early 20s, I had a lot of other sufferings that I'm going to do a video on that was emotionally tragic, um, and throughout my life. But I had never thought of suicide at those moments. But my first thought of suicide was when my mother passed away. And I think I mentioned this in other videos. Um, I just felt like it was unexpected. It wasn't like when my dad, he died. He had cancer for 6 years. So even though it hurted us and we didn't want to see the end, we slowly knew what was going to happen. And so unconsciously, we kind of prepared, even though you're never prepared and you still cry and you still mourn. To this day, I miss my dad a ton. Um, but we knew what logically was gonna happen, and so unconsciously we kind of prepared. With my mother, she was not ill. She just had a sudden, major, massive heart attack. Um, that heart attack, she had had a few heart attacks in her life before, massive and minor heart attacks, and she always recovered. And we knew she had heart disease and that, she was at high risk for heart attacks because she had had them before. But like I said, she always recovered and came through. And so, and she hadn't had one in for so many years. So we thought those days were gone. And it was primarily because she was in an abusive marriage with my father, emotionally, verbally, physically. And she was hanging on for dear life for me because I was the last one she had to raise. And he was the cause of those heart attacks. Unfortunately, I love my dad, but that's the truth. My dad was an alcoholic. He drank, even though I never saw him as an alcoholic because he owned his own home, his own car, his furniture. He never owed anybody a penny for 40 years. He went to work, was never, that I remember, late or missed. He held it down. And to me, an alcoholic was somebody on the corner drinking wine. And it wasn't until I worked for the drug and alcohol program myself that I learned that you could be a functioning alcoholic, because he drank every day. And every time he drank, he just made my mom's life a miserable hell. And I was even affected. But I still love my dad. And we respected him to the end. But that was a story that did happen. And I'll probably do another video on that. I kind of lost track. So yeah, so when my mom died, because she didn't have an illness that slowly we prepared for, she just suddenly had this massive heart attack. I had just had my baby. She was barely a month old. Not even a month old, a little less, maybe 3 weeks old. And so when it happened, it took me by surprise. I was breastfeeding my baby in the moment that I got the call from my mom saying, "I'm having a heart attack, call 911," and I heard her drop. I called my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, Diana, at that time, had to call the 911 for me because I was shaking so bad and I had the baby in my arms that I couldn't even call 911. I was able to finally speak to them, screaming, and they were trying to ask me all these questions. I was like, "Just get to my mom. I'll meet you there." And then when I got there, she was already in the ambulance. So, you know, she ended up in the hospital, and then they ended up saying she had to have a triple bypass. She had that triple bypass. The bypass operation itself was successful, but she ended up suffering a massive stroke under anesthesia, which took her left side of the brain, which is your knowledge, your memory. It paralyzes you on one side of the body. You lose your speech, everything, everything. So she was in coma, came out of her 2 days, back into coma, finally passed away. And my world came crashing down because my mom was my best friend. My completely and utterly best friend. She had the perfect words, the perfect advice. She made everything better, which is one look, one word. I could count on her forever. She was my protector. Just everything is perfect as long as she was there. And because I'm the baby and she had me at an older age, we were so close, so incredibly close. She got me through everything that had to do with being a woman, with being a little girl. She helped me as a mom. She was just that perfect person next to God. That's the best way I can explain it. And I finally, the last few years of her life, I was so happy because I got to be able to move here close to her and to take care of her and to share so many wonderful memories. And so when she passed away, my world just, I couldn't even see straight. And I had just had my baby, like I said, and I was going through postpartum. So I had like these two whammies, these two bombs that went off at the same time. And I didn't want to hold my baby. I wanted her next to me. And I remember I kept saying, what a beautiful baby. But when it came time to hold her, I would just go, they had a nurse that they sent to be with me to help me through the postpartum and help me with my baby. And she would say, do you want to hold her? And I would just be like, I remember wanting to be in a dark room. And I'll do a separate video on postpartum. It's something fierce. And so then my mom dies on me and I'm like, what the hell? God gave me a beautiful life and then he took one from me. And I know the Bible says God give it, then God take it away. And I don't blame God. That's life. We all know that that's how life works. But I remember I would take care of my kids, but barely enough to get through the day. Barely change a diaper, barely clean them, barely feed them. I wasn't the mom that always went above and beyond. I just barely just did the basic necessities because I was emotionally, mentally, and physically broken, like broken. I wore black the whole first year. I'm the one that did my mom's 9-day rosary. Um, and it was just me, my husband, and my kids here in our town. My family lived far away. So I remember I was so overwhelmed that I just remembered wanting to end it. And I remember I got the rope and I remember putting it outside in my patio and I put it around my neck and my daughter came out and stopped me. And I know God sent her out there because she never came out there. And God sent her out to stop me. And then there was one where I wanted to take pills. And my husband came home and he interrupted me. And he's like, what are you doing? And then there was one time I was in the garage with my mom's picture and just crying and wanted to slit my wrists. And again, my children, my husband happened to come home at lunch and found me. So those were the 3 times. And then I finally had my daughter, Adriana, who was 7 at the time. She goes, Mom, I know you miss your mom. And I miss her too. But you're our mom and we need you. I know your mom probably was sad sometimes. This is a 7-year-old talk to me. And she probably wanted to give up. But she didn't because she had you. And you have us. And we love you. And we don't want to lose our mom. And so that kind of woke me up. So I remember getting up and showering, putting back on my black clothes. And I thought, okay, I got to make an appointment with the priest. So I went to the priest and I told him what had happened and what I was going through and how I attempted suicide. And I remember him saying, what is the reason for this suicide? I know you're hurting bad. Trust me. Just because we're priests, it doesn't mean we don't have feelings. We know. We too are sad. We too suffer. Just that we're a little closer to God, and so we find strength in Him. So I know what you're feeling, and it's the most awful thing ever. But the intention of the suicide is what? Just because you're overwhelmed I said, yes, I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired. But mostly because I want to see my mom again. And I remember him saying, that's not the way it works. If your intention and desire is to see your mom, that's not the way to do it. Because as Catholics, we believe suicide is a sin. Because we need to let God say when it's our time. We need to let Him be the one that says, this is where it ends. This is when it ends. When He turns that page and your name is on it, then it's your time to go. And we need, just like God gives us life, we need to let Him be the one to take it. We can't take it because it's like a slap in the face to God. It's like an unappreciation for the beauty and for this precious thing that God has given us, which is life. And, it's not to say that people that commit sin are bad people, not at all. They're warranted in their feelings. But if they could just see that there is hope, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that the people that it might be an end for us and for us, for our sadness and for our exhaustion, but we leave behind people that have to take over the suffering. We leave children and families behind that are going to hurt because they don't have us anymore. Because we chose not to be with them anymore. And so sometimes I wish that people that want to commit suicide could see that. But once you're at that stage, it's like no turning back. It's like there's nothing anybody can say or do to really change your mind because you're done. You're done. You're completely done. And you don't see the hope. You don't see the light. You don't see a reason to continue on. And that's why before someone gets to that end, we need to try to be aware of the signs, to be in tune, to keep in communication with these people, whether they have a mental illness or whether they're going through a postpartum, which the postpartum is right. Well, it could lead you to is hurting someone else or hurting yourself. Or whether somebody has lost somebody and has a hard time dealing with it. It's depression, alcohol, drug abuse. There's so many reasons. If we know somebody's sad, they feel like they're a burden to other people. If we see something or they're ill and they're tired of it, we got to be in tune. And sometimes the people that we think are strong, those are sometimes the people, because there's clear signs of people being sad and depressed and that could commit suicide. But there's people like we saw with Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain and Robin Williams, the strongest, have it all, happiest people that we would never even guess that suicide would even be in their thoughts. But as we see, it is because they don't show those signs. So there are people out there that are strong, that don't show the signs, that we also have to be there for people who we think are strong. If just develop these relationships, whether it's your families, your best friends, your neighbors, your coworkers. If we have a relationship with them or we're around them, just still check in with them. Even if we think they're the happiest person on earth or they have it all, still check in on them because you don't know what people in the inside are going through. So when the priest told me that was not the way to go, I understood that. I'm like, oh my God. I have a baby at this time now, she's almost 2 months old, a little over a month and a half. And I thought, oh my God, I love my children with everything I have. I just had a baby who won't get to know me. I have a husband who loves me and who's sacrificed so much for me. I have family that may care for me. I do want to see my mom again and I miss her to death, but I have to wait till God says when it's my time to go, and I know she'll be waiting for me with open arms. And I have to believe that. And I know my mom. I know she'd smack me up the face and go, what are you thinking? This is not the way to go, and this is not the time to go. I miss you, and I'll be here when it's your time. But those kids need you, and just like I didn't give up on you, you don't dare give up on those kids. So when he made me think about what my mom would say to me if I was sitting in front of her saying I want to kill myself, And I thought about what he said as far as the church standpoint, as far as a spiritual standpoint, that, we need to appreciate life and whatever time God gives us and let him turn the page when he sees fit. And so after that meeting, I wore black the whole year, but I woke up. I started showering. I started journaling because I've been journaling since I was a kid. They used to call it diaries back then. So I started really journaling, getting my expressions out, getting my feelings out. And I finally got through the postpartum through God's help, through this nurse's help. Finally, it was like months, almost a year before I got out of it. I started taking bubble baths. I started meditating. I started reading and writing because I'm a writer and I love to write. I had a teacher once tell me you should be a writer because you just have a unique, natural thing to write. And that's why I've always journaled. And I just started, doing arts and crafts with my kids. And I started going places and just really putting my heart and soul into my family and things that I like to do in life, getting back into makeup, getting back into, all the fun things that I'm still, of course, mourning. I mourn to this day and I'll mourn forever. I miss my mom incredibly much. But I still stay focused on, even though I'm mourning her, even though it's been 20 years, and even though I miss her so bad, and I'm going to cry so many times to the day I die, but I still have my focus where there is the light at the end of the tunnel. There is the horizon. I can see it. That I have a happy and blessed life with my personal life, with my children, with my marriage, and that, sorry, that I have so much to be thankful for and so much to live for. The second time I went through suicide was in 2005. I was doing a lot of, sorry. I gotta blow my nose. I'm gonna pause it so I can blow my nose. Sorry about that. I didn't want to blow my nose. I got ill. I was being a hairstylist. I'm still a cosmetologist. I still have my license and I still do it for family and friends, stuff like that. But I was working like 12, 15 hours a day at a salon, and it was taking a toll on my neck, my shoulders, my hands, because there was no appointments where you can have one appointment and rest and then go on to your next appointment. It was haircuts back to back to back to back, and in between some highlights, and it just took a toll from my neck to my shoulders. I had operation on both shoulders. I had operation on both wrists for carpal tunnel, and I had neck surgery because it tore my neck up from bending down and doing highlighting and long haircuts and repetitive haircuts and stuff. So I had like 5 surgeries in 2 years, and I finally had to leave my job, and I became so ill and so depressed from being ill. And I fell into a severe, severe depression where I was in bed all the time. This was for like months. I was in bed. I had so much anxiety and so many anxiety attacks that I would go to the hospital and felt like I was having a heart attack. And I would go to the hospital and they say, that's how it feels, like you're having a heart attack. And I kid you not, this is no exaggeration. I would take like 50 showers a day. Every few minutes I was jumping in the shower because I felt like the heat of the shower could relax me, could calm me down, because in bed I toss and turn, and just with my hands, I would like shake my hands like this to kind of shake away the stress and the anxiety. Just my mind was going a mile a minute. My heart was pacing. I couldn't sleep for days at a time. And this went on for months. This went on practically for like, oh my God, like maybe 3 or 4 years that I was pretty much like bedridden and suffering this depression and being on depression medication and anxiety. I mean, each one of these were severe to the max. And I couldn't walk. I had this problem in my back, which was actually coming from my neck. And after so many MRIs and so many doctors and specialists, they would look at my neck and, and my shoulders and stuff, but they were doing one operation at a time, and they didn't understand where this back pain was coming from, to where it would cause me sharp pains, and then it stopped me. I couldn't walk anymore. It wasn't like a paralyzed, I couldn't walk. I could get up, but it would be painful. And so they checked my back out because I had had back surgery before, and they said, no, that surgery was so well done and it's so intact. It's not coming from the back, even though it's affecting your back. So they finally, my kids and my husband would have to pick me up and take me to the bathroom, and they were taking care of me, and I felt like I was burdening them. That how could this be happening to me when I was so young? That I should be living life, I should be healthy, I should be energetic, I should be in my prime. How could this be happening to me? Doesn't this usually happen to older people, that with time their health degenerates, or deteriorates, I should say, you know, even though there's a lot of strong older people out there, God bless them. I mean, but life takes its toll, gravity takes its toll, it just, that's the story of life. And so I didn't want to burden my family anymore. I didn't want to live this way anymore. It was the most horrible, horrible thing ever. There are no words that can express to you what it felt like, what I had been through, how mentally, emotionally, and physically I was exhausted and in pain. All three. I was in pain emotionally, I was in pain mentally, I was in pain physically, going through all these surgeries, all this stuff. And I started to take some pills. I thought, okay, when everybody's gone out of the room, I'm going to overdose with these pills. And I tried it again. My husband came home and saw me. He's like, what are you doing? And he goes, and he was crying. He's like, you've never been a burden to me. You're my wife. I love you, and I will be with you, and I will take care of you to the end, because I know if it was me, you'd do the same thing and even more. I love you. And even though it hurts me to see you going through this, and yes, I get tired sometimes because I have to go to work, I have to take care of the kids, but it's not a burden. I want to do it. I love to do it. Physically, my body gets tired sometimes, not all the time, because I'm really a strong person. But it's never your fault. You're not a burden. I love you dearly. These kids love you so much. We can't be going through this. And he goes, please, please think about us. Please, you have so much to live for. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. We have so much to live for. We have so many things to do. Please, please, don't give up. You're a strong person. I know you're not a quitter. I know that this is just something you're going through, and I know it's unbearable. Trust me. I know. I can't even imagine that you are going through this, but I know that deep inside you're a strong person, that you're a smart person, and you have such a huge heart. I know that you can do this. And those words, and then my kids saying, we love you, mommy, and always smiling, and they never showing me like, oh my God, why do we have to take care of you? When you should be taking care of us. And that's kind of how I felt like they shouldn't be taking care of me, that I should be taking care of them. But it wasn't something that I chose or anything like that. So I know all too well why people attempt suicide, why people consider it, what can cause that to happen, because I've been there, done that, and I never ever want to go through that again. And I've learned to do things that if I ever get depressed, or if I'm ever going through an illness or anxiety or any type of emotional or mental suffering in life, anything that I go through in life, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or physically, no matter how bad it is, I know now what to grab onto. I know I can grab onto my priest. I know I can grab onto my church. I know I can grab onto my Bible. I know I can grab onto God in prayer. I know that I can hold on to my faith steadfast. And I know most of all, and that I have a family, especially my husband, my children, that love me unconditionally, that love me dearly, that are worth living for. And no matter what I'm feeling or going through, because I've been through the worst of the worst, and I have survived, so I can survive anything. Anything that comes my way. And I have to for me, because I know I love life. I appreciate life. I know what my faith and my church and my God and all that means to me. And I know how much my family is my life, my heart, and my soul. I have a son who's autistic that also, more than anything, I have to be here for. And I cannot give up under any circumstances for him. So when you think this, I'm going to have to do it part 2 because I'm running out of time. When you are considering suicide or thinking of it, just deeply think of something, or even before it even hits those thoughts, what means so much to you in this world that is worth holding on to. I'm going to go to part two.